Well, it's time to do business again. It's time for Business Incorporated. We have 25 minutes for updates from the world of business. And here's what we prepared for you today. Well, President Xi Jinping is to visit Egypt. It's the first time in 10 years. And Ghana is tightening FX license rules. It's a partial resumption of work at the Suez Transit. Welcome to the program. I'm Ini John Mekwa. Oil prices is where we start from. Extended declines today again amid easing concerns about military conflict in the Gulf, and traders are mulling prospects for an Iran-Oman deal to secure a safe transit route through the Strait of Hormuz. So the prices this afternoon we see for the red for Brent, 3.18% down, $85.74 a barrel. And WTI has gone below $80. It's now $79.87 after losing more than 3%. And then closely related to that, we see gas on the flip side at this time, 1.41% up at $2.81. U.S. sanctions on Iran were less severe than anticipated, according to head of markets at AJ Bell and other traders. They add that lower oil prices has helped markets to regain some poise as government bond yield eased back from their recent highs. The recent shift away from military action has reduced perceived risk to Gulf supply, even though the U.S. did not rule out other interventions. And so it's more of calm now in the markets. And to the metal space, gold has held steady after scaling a more than 3-month high in the previous session. Investors are awaiting key U.S. inflation report to gauge the Federal Reserve's interest rate path. And so we see more of green, but for the majors, they are red. That's spot gold and spot silver. Spot gold is down 0.39%, $4,675.90, and spot silver 0.28% in the red, $68.49 per ounce, and palladium, copper, all in the green at this time, 0.38, 0.44, and 0.09%. Let's head straight to what's happening on the continent. Ghana's banking sector is facing tougher requirements around foreign exchange trading, with the Bank of Ghana making renewal of FX trading licenses contingent on sustained regulatory compliance. The move is significant for banks and businesses that depend on foreign currency transactions, particularly importers and exporters. Well, it also comes as Ghana continues efforts to strengthen the stability and transparency of its foreign exchange markets. And still in Ghana, businesses are raising fresh concerns about the costs of electricity, saying expensive energy is undermining their ability to compete. The Association of Ghana Industries is pushing for greater adoption of solar power to help businesses reduce operating costs and improve productivity. But financing and technical challenges are still slowing investment. The issue goes beyond Ghana, as affordable and reliable energy remains crucial to Africa's industrialization, manufacturing, and job creation ambitions. In Egypt, MSC has decided to partially resume Suez Canal transit on limited number of its east-west services following a comprehensive review of the latest security and operational conditions in the Red Sea region. The shipping company is returning to traditional maritime corridors while maintaining high levels of vigilance. The change will apply to both westbound and eastbound voyages, commencing with specific sailings from late August 2026. The affected services include Asia-Mediterranean Jade service eastbound, Asia-North Europe Albatros service eastbound, India-Mediterranean and Himalayas service westbound, and Asia-Mediterranean Tiger service. Individual booking confirmations and online schedules will be updated progressively to reflect the new voyage plans. The transit will be implemented service by service, with MSC continuing to closely monitor developments across the region in coordination with the relevant authorities. and security partners. And in Kenya, agricultural company Kakuzi is warning that its full-year earnings could fall by at least 25%. The company says exceptional dry conditions, the Middle East conflict, and weaker international demand for macadamia products are expected to weigh on its performance. The warning highlights how weather conditions and global disruptions are increasingly feeding into African agricultural businesses. Export earnings and commodity markets have also been affected. In Zimbabwe, public hospitals and clinics are facing severe medicine shortages amid difficulties in securing a consistent supply of essential drugs. And this is according to the Deputy Minister of Health, Suleiman Kidwini. And the shortages are forcing patients to buy medicines from private pharmacies, placing an additional financial burden on already struggling families. Kwidini was responding to concerns raised in the National Assembly over the continued unavailability of medicines in public health institutions. He acknowledges that government was currently unable to provide all the medicines required in public hospitals and clinics, but says efforts were underway to improve supplies through partnerships with local manufacturers and international drug producers. And still in Zimbabwe, public hospitals are facing severe shortages. Well, that's what we just told you now. They also have a problem right there where the Minister of Education in Zimbabwe is warning schools, especially public schools, against extra summer lessons, which they say is costing a bit of a burden, financial burden to parents. And they warn that students should not be compelled to be part of that. And then we go to Kenya. Kenya is stepping up efforts to attract Chinese investment with discussions focusing on manufacturing, ICT, and the automobile industry. The government says increased foreign direct investment could create jobs and support economic growth. The push comes as Kenya seeks to expand its industrial base and attract more capital into productive sectors of the economy. For businesses, the focus is on turning investment interest into manufacturing capacity, employment, and broader economic activity. And then for the first time in 10 years, Chinese President Xi Jinping will attend the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit, and that's a part of his state visit to in Kenya, before traveling to Egypt on a trip from August 30 to September 3. This is according to Beijing's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. At the SCO summit, which will be attended by member states including Russia and Iran, Xi Jinping will discuss deepening cooperation as well as major international regional issues. And Foreign Ministry spokesperson shared this during a conference. The state visits, which is the first in 10 years, to Egypt, holds special significance for the development of bilateral ties. The visit comes as Iran and the United States remain locked in a conflict that has spilled over across the Middle East and choked off shipping through the vital Strait of Hormuz, disrupting global oil flows. And the United States National Institute of Health has lifted its ban nearly 18 months after an order to stop work with South Africa created a crisis for HIV and TB research. The United States National Institute of Health lifted its ban on South Africa after about 12 months after its February order to stop work. That has already created crisis for the country. In January 2025, the United States began halting funding of South African projects, including NIH grants and U.S. Agency for International Development, and that's USAID. Well, the report by Global Finance magazine, which ranks Nigeria the 56th of 60 poorest countries globally, has been generating questions of factors that's driving the country into this position, and how come the country is missing in spite of its huge potentials in both human and natural resources. For the managing director of Timeline Consult, Mr. Idris Shaibu, the elites who make up the leadership should be blamed for this. He was a guest on Business Morning.
In general, we are certainly in a precarious situation because year in, year out, our per capita income is degenerating. Who are in government? Are they the downtrodden? Certainly no. It's the elite. Why are we not insisting as elite to have quality policing? Yes, I have seen the trending video. It's not the first, and it wouldn't be the last. But where are we that we will see it happen and look the other way around? Why are we poor? We are poor because we implement reforms without necessarily having a bit of a safety net that will reduce and cushion the impact of, of the implementation of the reforms.
And still on Business Morning earlier today was also the worry of increase in import of petrol in the country, with the record or reports showing that domestic refiners' contribution to consumption has reduced.
A lot of the refineries are in the enclave of these OMLs, so they're like right next door to them. They can easily run a pipeline from their wellhead to their refinery feedstock storage tanks. But what is happening now is that most of these operators are requesting that the refiner, even though you are 500 meters away, 5 kilometers away, they want them to go all the way to the terminal to collect the feedstock, so that they are now buying at Brent, plus all the transportation and the logistic prices. And we're kicking against that. No, it's not right. If I'm in the conclave of an OML and I have easy access to their wellheads, then all we need to do is agree between the two organizations. We build a pipe, or we build a facility where we can easily lift the feedstock right from source. We don't have to go to the terminal. So there's a bit of an issue as to where we want to pick up the crude and where the operators want us to pick up the crude. And then there's issues on pricing, because they're pricing it on Brent, and Brent already includes freight, logistics, and other things. But I'm just 500 meters from you, so why would I have to buy terminal prices?
Or some of the issues that have led to a decrease in the productivity or contribution of local refiners into the petrol consumption of Nigeria. Let's head to the markets now. As at noon today, the equity was negative, losing 0.10% at 238,850.36 points. Top gainers were Nimeth International, that lost 9.7. Guinea Insurance also down. NEM Insurance 6.7. Top losers were Fitson Healthcare, lost 10% already. International Energy Insurance and Jay's Bank all lost. As at 12 o'clock, that's about an hour and a half ago. Top stocks by volume were Fortis Global Insurance, had about 133.73 million units in trade. First Holdco also is still there, 74.69 million units, and Consolidated Hallmark Holdings, 25.53 units. And top stocks by value were First Holdco, as of course we know, with the price of that, and First Holdco, Zenith Bank, and UAC Nigeria. So intraday, the market is down 0.25% down. Johannesburg is also down 0.11%. EJX is down 0.18%, and for Nairobi, closed yesterday, also down 0.2%. For the Middle East, we have all of the major markets there in the green. We see Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Tadawar, Qatar, all green at intraday. And then moving to the United States, just a little bit of change there. All eyes looking out for the inflation data that's expected later on this week. NVIDIA's latest quarterly result also is added to the sentiment in the market. Moving to Asia now, market closed mixed. At the end of today's trade, the Nikkei added, South Korea added, and then the others we saw in the negative. Let's move to Europe now and see what Lars has for us for market sentiment. Hi, Lars. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Hello, Ini. Good to be with you. Well, looking at those shares, I can tell you what's happening here is all green. We're seeing all the European markets up, only slightly in the morning now, all about between 0.5% and 0.75%. But still, there is not really a lot of major action here. And it seems investors aren't ready to make any big bets today because, of course, they're all waiting for those NVIDIA numbers to come out later tonight in the United States, with, of course, NVIDIA being the chip maker that's at the heart of the AI boom that has played such a major role in recent markets. But we do also have some news right here out of Germany. German export numbers are much stronger than expected. And you might remember, Ini, we had some similarly good news yesterday already. And now we're hearing more that German exporters are saying that demand, especially from European trading partners, is very strong. And that is giving some hope to all those who had been worried about whether the German economy would eventually recover after those very weak last couple of years.
Yeah, so moving away from the market, Lars, we see whether for health reasons or for revenue, it seems the German government is looking the way of sweetened drinks. What's the story around that?
Yeah, exactly. It's an interesting story here as politicians in Berlin are now back from their summer break, and I don't know how many soft drinks they had, but they are back in town now after a really hot summer, and they are working on their sugar tax scheme. And it is, like you said, it's an effort targeting two goals. There's the health side, of course. The government would like to reduce consumption of sugary drinks, and an additional tax would obviously make drinks more expensive to consumers and would likely lead to people buying less of them. But on the other hand, the government also wants to raise money initially in form of a fee to be invested into the healthcare system, where people's sugary diets are leading to ever higher cost, specifically, of course, for treatment of diabetes and other such issues. Now, that part has apparently now been changed. Currently, Berlin is looking at this as a regular tax with the money going straight into the federal budget.
So when we talk about increased costs for consumers, do we have numbers or idea of what it may cost the consumers?
Yeah, we got a few numbers here. The big number to begin with that is 650 million euros. That is what the Treasury thinks the tax would bring in as soon as next year when it's enacted. And as for what consumers are paying, that of course depends on the drinks they're buying, specifically on their sugar content. A levy of 26 cents per liter would apply to beverages with just a little bit of sugar, and then that goes up to 38 cents for those beverages with more than 10 grams per 100 milliliters. Now, that means that the price of, let's say, a 2-liter bottle of iced tea would rise from €2.10 to €2.72. That is a plus of 30%. A liter bottle of Coca-Cola would increase from 123 to 168. That's up even 36%. So, Ini, this is significant indeed.
So I wonder if you have less demand for this sweetened drinks, or what has been the general reaction so far on this?
Well, Ini, it depends, of course, on who you ask. It's pretty clear any expert from the healthcare sector is excited, with many saying that such a sugar tax has long been overdue. And by the way, it's not a particularly new or German idea. As a matter of fact, over 60 countries around the world have a sugar tax. And that includes some of the countries here, Britain and Ireland, also Mexico, India, the Arab world. And then, of course, also some countries in Africa, they have a sugar tax too. Then looking, of course, at the United States, where most soft drinks come from, even there we might not see a federal tax, but there are many states and cities who have levied fees on soft drinks themselves over the past few years. Still, of course, the beverage industry is up in arms, but they are being given time to adjust their recipes, which, by the way, to be quite honest, they could have done a long time ago, because talk of a sugar tax has actually been around for quite a while.
Yeah, even in Nigeria, Lars, the talk of sugar tax always raises two sides of the sentiment, and we have not gotten there yet. But thank you so much, Lars, for giving us update on that.
Thank you, Ini.
Now let's head to the crypto space. Yesterday we had an extensive conversation on, the bull sentiment. around, especially Bitcoin, even though we saw that tapering, and for this afternoon, it does seem it's still tapering, going down a bit. And a lot of the move was tied around U.S. regulations and the Senate and the crypto rules, which has been on their table for quite a bit. But let's see. I think we have something from them this afternoon. U.S. regulators moving closer to defining how customer identification requirements will apply to payment stablecoins under the Genius Act. And the emerging framework is significant for issuers, exchanges, and users because it could establish clearer compliance requirements for the rapidly expanding stablecoin sector. So there you have it, the US regulators moving to make the picture clearer for stablecoin. And then we move to South Korea, where the Shinhan Bank is working with Visa on stablecoin-based payment applications, including card payments and business-to-business and consumer transactions. And the partnership is aimed at testing how stablecoins and blockchain technology could fit into the future payment systems. So that's another story on stablecoins. In Japan, financial institutions are reportedly developing a blockchain-based infrastructure for settling stock transactions. And details are expected early next year. But the initiative could represent a significant move toward using distributed ledger technology in mainstream financial markets infrastructure. And of course, if it works there, I'm sure other countries will be quick to adopt it. And then Digital Bank Revolt has begun a phased rollout of euro, and it's its first euro-pegged stablecoin. So we see a lot of stories on stablecoin, and it's to customers in Denmark, Poland, and Portugal. The move marks another step by a major fintech into the growing stablecoin payments market. I wonder if we can have the price for from the cryptocurrency at this time. Doesn't seem like we have it. All right, so that's it on Business Incorporated today. Thank you so much for being a part of it. I'm Amy John McQuarrie. I'll see you tonight for the stock market reports.